Tony, AC, the dust has settled on another season here at the RTL Group Stadium. Happy it's all over, or would you have liked it to continue for a bit longer?
I think we got to the point where we were kind of happy that it ended, particularly the last game of the season, which kind of summed up our season overall, really. But definitely had a better feel towards the end of the season than the previous season, so we'll take that as a positive. Overall, I think it's progression from a points perspective, as well as obviously a league position that we finish in as well, and I think it's very much a case of what could have been this year. We've touched on that throughout the season, the various interviews that we've done, but overall, yeah, pleased that it ended, but pleased overall with the outcome of the season, to be honest.
Let's unpack the season a little bit then. Started the season really well with Rhys Perara as our manager.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that one. So we appointed Rhys, obviously come in after a really good successful season with Welling under 23s or development team or whatever they were, but with a lot of youngsters. Started the season off really well. Nice conditions, nice pitches, suited that brand of football, and we was in and around the playoffs and looking good. So no, listen, he really kick-started our season off really well. It looked like a masterstroke at the start of the season. Unfortunately, when the pitches changed, along with the weather, the conditions, and a different way of having to play in some games, unfortunately the style of play and the sort of inexperience of some of the youngsters, a very young team, it meant that we struggled in a few games, and unfortunately I think we went on a run of 11 games without a victory, and we were starting to sort of go in the wrong way in the league table, but more importantly, as the chairman, I couldn't actually see when it was going to change. It just seemed to be it was sort of snowballing and getting worse and worse. So unfortunately, we had to make the decision to part ways with Rhys, which was horrible to do, especially after the start he had. But I'm hoping that. I mean, he took it. Look, listen, he was professional. He was magnanimous. He took it really well when I explained what happened. But obviously, he didn't agree with it, and I wouldn't expect him to. But sometimes, as a chairman, you've got to make those decisions. And I just felt we was going into a stage of the season where we needed to really sort of knuckle down and grind some results out and win games ugly, really. And which is why we made that decision. Obviously, we brought Andy back, and that kind of had the desired effect. We changed the style of play. I mean, there's no point trying to deny that happened. It did, and that was the whole point. And we started grinding out a few results. We got some wins, and we got ourselves away from any sort of danger, and sort of settled it down. And at one point, we really did have a chance of maybe being dark horses for those playoffs. I mean, it didn't happen in the end, but I think that the decision was justified in the end for me as a chairman and for us as a club, because we actually went the other way rather than sort of going further and further down. And what I didn't want was for us to get embroiled in any sort of a relegation battle. I mean, we were never anywhere near relegation, and it probably seems a bit. But what happens is when you start getting down into those realms of the league, all of a sudden you get on that run, and it's so difficult to get out of it. And I just didn't want to put us as a club in a position where even if we were on the outskirts of it, I didn't want to have us anywhere near it. And we weren't in the end. And so, like I say, it wasn't nice, but I felt it had to be done, and I think in the end the results justified the decision.
Yeah, do you feel like the young players adapted to winning ugly and the tougher pitches to play on as the season went on?
I think yes and no. So part of when I came back in, we freshened it up a little bit with the personnel. We retained the majority of the younger players that that Reece had obviously brought to the club. A few obviously left, which when you change a manager, you can expect that kind of turnover. Adding that experience, players that have played step 5 to what was already in the dressing room did stand us in good stead, and we went on a really good run. Other than the Vars defeat, which was very frustrating, I think we then went 1 defeat in 10. And as Tony said, that gave us a realistic opportunity of maybe causing a bit of an upset and getting a playoff place. But the same old kind of inconsistencies would creep in, which you've got to expect with younger players.
Yeah.
And again, given the resources that we have as a club, that's the type of players that we have to work with. And at times they showed how good they can be. At times they showed how bad they can be, but overall, that integration between the more experienced players and the younger ones definitely had a positive impact, I think.
Do you guys have a highlight of this season at all?
I don't know. For me, I think we had a couple of good wins. One being the home victory over from Belvedere, which was Reece's side, and then we went there and had a great result later on in the season, didn't we? So doing a double over there, our old club, always feels nice. So for me, that was good. I think we've had again some of the positive things that happened under Reece, the drawing with Faversham, drawing with Whitstable here, 2 great results. We drew with VCD twice. So we've taken points off the teams that have been promoted. We had a decent cup run again. We got to a quarter final, which is always nice. Unfortunately, we would like to have progressed that a little bit further. But for me, I think some of the league results that we had were really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I think, listen, from my perspective, I think it's the highlights. There weren't that many highlights, if I'm honest. If you've got to be brutally honest about it, there weren't that many highlights. I think it was a season of kind of improvement, but not quite getting to where we really wanted to go. We didn't quite reach the heights of the season before when we had that great Vars run, and you have that sort of excitement that goes with it. But for me, the 2 sort of results, I think the 5-5 draw here with VCD, who have since gone and got promoted into step 4, and by the way, good luck to them. I wish them all the best, deservedly so. But I think the 5-5 draw here, and actually we should have won the game. Right, we really did deserve to win. I think the result at Larkfield, when we were losing down there, and the boys showed a lot of character and courage to come back, and we come back and won the game. And probably, I don't even think I was at the game, but I remember a lot of people saying how well the boys performed away at Fisher to get a win at Fisher.
Yes, definitely.
Who also,
really good.
Yeah, who also went on to compete in that playoff final with VCD. So I think that the highlights, I think, were, if we can kind of say, were our performances and results against the better teams were tended to be quite good, actually.
Yep.
Where we really let ourselves down was the results against the teams in the bottom half of the table, and certainly in and around us. We really seemed to struggle in those games, and I think that was kind of symptomatic of where you're playing teams that are fighting for their lives. When they're down in those positions, they're sort of willing to do anything they need to do to win a game of football. And I think that's where our lads kind of sometimes weren't quite up for the same battle as the opposition, and I think that was probably where we let ourselves down overall in the season. Was we didn't take points against the teams that we should have taken points from, good points, but we took good points off the teams that we had no right to take points off. So that's kind of
similar to last year as well.
Similar to last year. I mean, look, we've ended up with more points overall and a higher league position, but the fact that if we'd have won that last game against Tunbridge Wells, and situation conspired against us, but anyway, we were 2 points away from finishing 7th. And when we speak and we talk about the points that we dropped throughout that season, terrible points, by the way, which we should never have dropped, never in a million years. if we'd have got those points, we really would have been in and around the playoffs. So I think for us, we every year is difficult. It's going to be difficult next season, but I think if we improve where we want to improve, and we get some level of consistency into the side, we could go on and actually be a little dark horse next year, and that's the aim for us.
Players of the season for you guys this year?
I think there's been a few positive things. Obviously, like Tony Masoki's walked away with player and committee player. He's been just his normal self, which is just consistently solid, gives his all to the club. I think there's been some positives, like the emergence of Mecca. Samuel's coming out of obviously Welling's academy and getting some experience here and showing what potential he's got is a big positive. DeAndre, I thought has had a good season. Ayo's had a good season. So yeah, there's been a few that have stood out. For me, they're the ones I think. I don't know if you.
No, I think we've got to acknowledge we've had quite a large turnover of players this season, and that's been half the problem. Bringing players in, players leaving, it's just been too much. So we've not actually had that many that were at the start and have finished with us, and those it's just non-league football at this level. It's the way it is, but I think that's again, it's. Tony's head and shoulders. I mean, Sam Bayford would have been up there, but his injuries have killed him. It killed him at the start of the season. He come back and just started getting into it, and then he's injured again. So that's really unfortunate for him. But I agree.
I think like Churchy at the start of the season. It's worth mentioning Jack Church. He had a great start to the season.
A lot of goals.
Yeah, a lot of goals, and then he's obviously gone on to some success at Thamesmead, winning the Invitation Charity Cup. So good luck to the boys that have gone over there. And but yeah, Church had a great start to the season, to be fair.
But it's a difficult one because it's players of the season. I mean, we're talking just now. You're looking at DeAndre, you're looking at Agosa, you're looking at Lou,
Ayo,
and Tony and Sam. But all of those have kind of been in and out. I think consistency has been a problem with those individuals, and that's kind of reflected itself in team performance as well, because it just we'd have one good performance and so would they, and then one bad performance and so would they, and it was just really difficult to get a run going, and so yeah, it's a tough one because normally you could list a whole raft of players that have been here since the start, but we just have to acknowledge it. That's been a problem this year, is having a consistent team with a number of consistent performers, I should say.
Where as a club do you think we've developed this year on last season?
I think how we run probably behind the scenes, that's worth mentioning, because we've got a lot of committed volunteers that have really stepped up, like yourself included in that. I think what we do from a media and a social media perspective has definitely improved. I think that can continue to improve. You obviously, Andy, your dad, taking on the secretarial role has been fantastic. Gary, Steersy, Huey, all the people, Tracy who does the food. It's all worth mentioning that they've really helped with the hospitality. I feel like we do excel at that. We make it welcoming for other clubs coming to us. Unfortunately, that isn't replicated throughout all of the league, but we make sure that we do that well. I think as we've touched on, the points perspective being improved, the league position being improved, they're all good things. I actually think, this sounds crazy, but I think our average attendances are actually up. But we are
33% up, I think.
Yeah, we are still the lowest supported average attendance in the league. So yeah, it's great for the league that attendances have been what they have, I guess. But I get disappointed that we're bottom of that. But to be fair, the fact that you say 33% increase, that's another positive. So
yeah, I mean, I just want to echo those words really. I mean, look, I've quite often been at clubs where on the football side of things, we've kind of outgrown very quickly what's been going on off the pitch. I think what we're trying to do at Holmesdale is actually build the club up the right way, get the infrastructure right off the pitch, and then try and match it on the pitch. And I think that's the way we're going. And again, you know, Simone that run the bar, everybody that come here they wouldn't know her name necessarily, but they'd all know the blonde lady that served behind the bar, you know, and she was excellent. Tracy doing the food, and like I said, we're just trying to make us into a club that people want to come to and enjoy their time when they're here, and I think they are. We've just got to try and improve on the football side of things a little bit more now. Again, which is what we'll do next season. But I think as a club and in terms of volunteers and how we are with our infrastructure, we've improved beyond belief. When I first come to Holmesdale, what it was like, it's unrecognisable off the pitch, and that's all credit to all the volunteers we have, and like yourself, your dad, and everybody else, the guys that do the ground.
Yeah,
they all do it for nothing, you know, and these people are absolutely worth their weight in gold, and without them we would not exist. So I think that's been a massive positive for us as a club, is all the volunteers that we've got behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking ahead now to next season, what's the plans going into that?
I think from a footballing perspective, we'll invite everyone back. Player wise, we've got our pre-season schedule kind of nailed down now, so we'll release who those fixtures are against in the coming weeks. So we'll be back middle of June, ahead of a season start on 26th of July, I think. So we're looking positive there. We'll look to obviously bring in a few players as well to try and improve us. So that's really positive. I think there's lots going on off the pitch as well, which I think you might want to touch on a little bit. But again, it's for me, the key footballing wise will be progression, whether that's points tally, league position, going further into cup competitions, replicating maybe the Vars run that we had last year, or improving on that. They'll be the sort of like targets we'll be setting from a footballing perspective. So really got a good kind of hunger for that, and can't wait for the season to start, to be honest.
Tony?
What was the question?
Next year.
Looking ahead to next year, the plans going into it, maybe off the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, Andy's alluded to about what's going on the pitch. So yeah, off the field, we are looking to add to the strong little band that we've got, and look to make that stronger. Without giving too much away, we've got people that are coming in that are going to looking to improve the club off the field, and also on it they're looking to invest, make the facilities better, you know, make the team better, and with a real kind of drive and desire, and also they have really good business acumen which will help us off the pitch. And if you get it right off the pitch, then it's it makes it much easier to replicate on it if you've got the foundations. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to get success, but if you've got that right, then it gives the managers the opportunity to get the right players in with the right resources onto the pitch. And we're not, we're just not one of them clubs that's going to be able to go and all of a sudden, chuck a load of money or at it. We've got to do it the right way. And for us, it's a long-term project, but with a steady. With a view to a steady improvement rather than sort of overnight kind of success, really. And that's what we're all about. We want to do it, and we want to have some longevity about us, and we want it to be built on solid foundations rather than sort of on no foundations at all. Which it's great. It's great when you have someone come in and want to invest and sort of have a sort of a sugar daddy. That's fine. That's fine all the time. They're interested and they're around. The minute they walk away, and we've been victim of that here actually a long time ago, where we had that, and they walk away and you're left with nothing. So we want to make the club sustainable in its own right, really, and that will serve us in good stead over time.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it just leaves me to say thank you for all your efforts this season as well. Hope you enjoy the rest of the summer, what's left of it, before we start this madness again.
Yeah, exactly. But before you do switch it off, we want to, like, what you do is excellent. The amount of views that you get with these interviews is brilliant, and so thank you very much for spending the time, particularly when we've perhaps had some really bad performances, and you've still come and you've still been enthusiastic, and you've still asked the right questions, and so thank you as well, Nick, for your work this season.
No problem. Yeah,
definitely.
we look forward to it next season.
Top man, Nick.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.